Charlie Morton gets off to a great start in 2024, and Ozzie Albies continues to show why he is one of the best second basemen in all of baseball. We'll discuss all of that on today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jacob Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Also, make sure you check out my written work over at BravesToday.com. Follow the podcast on social media at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. If you're new watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Approaching 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Also, make sure you hit that thumbs up button as well to help support the show. And thank you so much for your support of Locked On Braves. If you're an everydayer, let me know down in the comment section below. Always love to hear from you. On today's podcast, we're going to talk about Monday's 9-0 win, the great start from Charlie Morton, offense getting going, bullpen as well, everything just great in a 9-0 win. And then we're also going to get into the discussion of Ozzie Albies. A lot of talk during the offseason. Some people may think, is he a top 10 second baseman in all of baseball? I'm going to tell you why he's right up there at the top with some of the best second basemen, and he is off to a great start in 2024. So that's all coming your way on today's episode of Locked On Braves. But let's start with Monday's game, a 9-0 win over the Chicago White Sox. Bad weather. We'll see if they get the next two games in. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the podcast, but they do at least get this one in. Had a couple of rain delays, finally called it after that second one. What's interesting here is the last time that Charlie Morton faced the White Sox, he had a scoreless outing, and the Braves won 9-0 in that one as well. So a little bit of interesting tidbit there. And the way I kind of look at it, I love looking at a countdown in a season, just kind of something to look towards. The Braves have 3 wins now. I'm saying 87 more to go. You get to 90 wins, especially with the expanded format. I think you're going to be in the postseason. So 3 wins, 87 more to go to get to that 90 win mark, which pretty much I think will guarantee you a postseason spot. I mentioned the 2 rain delays in this one, not great conditions. I talked about this on the postcast, and if you want to hear more of my thoughts and Grant McCauley's thoughts, you can listen to that over on Locked On Sports Atlanta on YouTube or in your Locked On Braves podcast feed. But I mentioned on Sunday's postcast the fact that I was worried about Charlie Morton coming into this start just because of the wet conditions. He's somebody that really struggles with command at times, can walk batters, hit batters, and he did both of those things in the first inning. And it had me really worried for Charlie Morton. He gave up a single walk, hit batter to load the bases, but he still has that big strikeout potential and was able to get out of that jam. Didn't have the feel for his curveball and changeup early on. And what I loved about this start for Charlie Morton is that he was able to go to that 4-seam fastball, which was pretty much all he had in those first couple of innings. Located that pitch well, was able to get some swings and misses on it. He got 7 whiffs on 14 swings against his 4-seam fastball. And it's not like he was up there hitting 96, 97 like we've known Charlie to do in the past. He was the fastball average velocity was down 2 miles per hour. It was more 93s, 94s for Charlie Morton. But because of the great location of it, he was able to get those swings and misses. So I love the fact that Charlie just didn't have the feel for that curveball early on in this and was able to pivot to the fastball. Yes, it probably helps that it was the White Sox lineup, but he was able to manage through that early on until he was able to finally get the curveball going a little bit more. But just really impressive stuff from Charlie Morton. Obviously, 40-year-old, knows how to pitch, knows how to pivot during a start to what is working. But good to see that he was able to navigate the early part of the game until he was able to feel his way with those other pitchers. He did give up another walk to lead off the second inning and a single as well. Travis d'Arnaud helped him out with cutting down Nicky López, old friend, cutting him down, trying to steal a base. And that's big as well to see that from Travis d'Arnaud. With Sean Murphy out, who we know has an arm that sometimes just shuts down a running game on reputation alone. And you wonder with Travis d'Arnaud back there more now, our team's going to be more aggressive running against Travis d'Arnaud. So I think it's huge to see him be able to show that he can throw some runners out, maybe put some hesitation in opposing teams that think that they'll just be able to run all over Travis d'Arnaud. So that was a big moment for me in this game that's kind of a little underlooked. But the fact that Travis d'Arnaud was able to cut down a base runner, hopefully, like I said, steers other teams away from maybe wanting to run so much on him. Going back to Charlie Morton, though, worked around a leadoff double in the third, retired the final 11 batters that he faced. So, like I said, he got better as the outing wore on. You started to see better command of that curveball and changeup, along with the fastball that was good throughout, and retired the final 11 batters. He struck out Luis Robert 3 times on 10 total pitches. I talked about coming into this series, the one guy you can't let beat you is Luis Robert. And while he didn't have the great command of the curveball for a lot of this start, he did against Luis Robert and continued to get him to chase those curveballs off the plate away. So that was big right there with that White Sox offense being able to slow down Luis Robert. Again, the conditions weren't great, but Charlie Morton stepped up, had a good outing, was able to adjust when he needed to, and make the pitches when he needed to. So great stuff from Charlie Morton to begin his 2024 season. 5 2/3 scoreless innings. You will certainly take that from Charlie Morton. Big start for him, hopefully leading to a really good season. We had the rain delays I mentioned, but the bullpen for the Braves picked up Charlie Morton right where he left off. They continued that streak, and it went out to 17 batters in a row that Braves pitchers faced and set them all down. Dylan Lee had another great outing, struck out 2 batters. Matzik struck out the side. Those 2 lefties right there in particular looking really good to start the season, which is huge. We talked about, again, this on the postcast on Monday night. A lot of pressure on A.J. Minter being that main lefty in the bullpen last year, but now the Braves caring for lefties this season. You got Lee, Matzik, Aaron Bummer. I know Bummer's had a bit of a tough start, but having those lefties that you can depend on in those spots against teams that have a lot of left-handed hitters is very big for this Braves team. And Lee and Matzik in particular have looked really good to begin the season. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, to me, it looked like the Braves hitters had to adjust early. You know, they were going with their launch angle approach, and in better weather conditions, they probably hit a home run or 2 that first time through the order, but the ball just was not carrying with the conditions there in Chicago. And I really think they had to adjust and did adjust in that second time through the order where they really got to Chris Flexen, who wasn't using any illegal substance out there. The Braves had him check. I think you had to, with just the noticeable marking that he had on his pants legs. I think you just got to do your due diligence and check in those situations. And wasn't anything illegal, but right after that, the Braves seemed to just jump all over Chris Flexen. Orlando Arcia had a big 2 RBI hit in the 4th. He's 7 for 16 to start the year with 4 doubles. I'll take another first half all-star performance. I mean, I would love to have a full year all-star performance from Orlando Arcia, but he is off to a great start to begin 2024. Acuna got his first extra base hit of the year, a double on a ball hit 111.5 miles per hour. It was the hardest hit ball of the game. Riley hit his first homer of the year, a 3-run shot coming out of the first rain delay. So good to see him get that. I mentioned the ball not carrying at all. Ozzie could have very well hit 3 home runs in this game. He's absolutely crushing it. Again, we're going to talk more about him in a second. But Riley hitting an opposite field home run in those conditions just shows how unbelievably strong Austin Riley is. So a great game overall from the pitching, offense. Anytime you obviously have a 9-0 shutout like that, a lot of things go your way. But I liked how the Braves hitters and pitchers just kind of had to adjust to the conditions in this one. Morton having to go with what he had the better feel for early in this game. Hitters kind of having to adjust with the conditions, knowing there wasn't going to be a lot of home runs, kind of being patient at the plate, taking the walks, taking their singles here and there. So I loved how the Braves team just really kind of adjusted and changed things on the fly during the game to be able to get this easy win, which it needs to be against this White Sox team. And again, hopefully we get these next 2 games in, because it's a great opportunity for the Braves to rack up some wins. Next, I want to turn our attention to Ozzie Albies, who is off to a fantastic start to 2024. And once and for all, we're going to put to bed the discussion of where Ozzie Albies ranks among all second basemen. We'll do that here next. Fire TV is your destination for sports. From live games to highlights to in-depth analysis, Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports. And if you're getting tired of sports, they also have great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, and cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on the Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. I just plugged one up in our living room TV, and it's been absolutely great and easy to use. To learn more, visit amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and you get tired of hearing all of that screaming? You know, I'm not screaming right now with my scratchy voice, but if you're getting tired of that, try Locked On Sports today. It's free. It's on YouTube or on the Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's a great 24/7 stream of just sports, news, updates, highlights, analysis, everything you need to get you through your day. So that's Locked On Sports today on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Tomorrow, we're going to have Sean Anderson from CHGO White Sox podcast joining the show. We're going to talk to him about the White Sox, the rest of this series. Also get his thoughts on Reynaldo López and Aaron Bummer, as they have spent a lot of their careers with the White Sox. So going to be a good conversation with Sean Anderson. So make sure you check that out on a Wednesday's podcast. But it is Tuesday. We're bringing back the Taco Tuesday segment. And what we're talking about today is Ozzie Albies. And a lot of discussion and discourse during the offseason of where Ozzie Albies should rank. As you know, the Shredder, which is MLB Network's kind of computer-generated season that looks at past performances and tries to project future performances, and it puts together a list of the top position players for each group, top 10 position players at each position. And as you know, and probably have heard by now, it left Ozzie Albies off the list completely. Now, one thing we got to keep in mind, any human being that watches the game of baseball knows that Ozzie Albies is at least a top 5 second baseman in the game. And the humans up there at MLB Network that gave their list had Ozzie Albies in there. But this computer-generated list has had a lot of people in an uproar. And you've seen Braves Twitter take off with it, Blooper, Valley Sports. Everybody has taken off with it, the fact that this list did not have Ozzie Albies in the top 10. Here is the top 10 list from the Shredders rankings this offseason. Betts, who he's a shortstop now, so I think you can take him off this list. Altuve, Simeon, Arise, Ketel Marte, McLean, Jimenez, Julian, Geloff, and Horner were the top 10 at second base. Now, just looking at that list alone, like I said, Betts, he's not a second baseman at this point. He's been more of a right fielder in his career, I think, in second base even. And right now he's at shortstop. Altuve and Simeon, in my mind, are the only two that I think you can definitively put ahead of Ozzie Albies. Arise, I don't really put in this discussion. He's a one-trick pony. Ketel Marte, I think, is up there as well. McLean's had half a good season in the big leagues. Andrés Jimenez, a good player, but he is not in the discussion with the top tier second baseman. Edouard Julien, has he even had half a season in the big leagues? Zach Geloff, he barely had half a season in the big leagues with the A's. And Nico Horner had somewhat of a breakout year last year, but there's no power in his game. It's a speed average combination for Nico Horner. I don't even know how a computer-generated list doesn't include Ozzie Albies. The only thing that I can figure is just because Ozzie's missed some time the last couple of years, and that plays into the projections somehow. But Ozzie's obviously needs to be on this list, should be on this list. And like I said, any normal human being that watches the game of baseball, knows the game of baseball, puts Ozzie on this list. But I kind of want to put it to bed where I would rank him, where I think he does rank among all second basemen right now. But first, let's talk about the start that he's off to this season. 7 for 17, a double, 2 homers, 6 runs, 7 RBI. And I talked about it on Monday. In normal weather conditions, he might have hit 3 home runs. He definitely would have had 1 He had a ball that just died at the warning track. The right fielder almost caught, ends up going for a double. But here's his exit velocities from Monday. 104.4 at a 20-degree launch angle. That was the line out. 101.6 mile per hour exit velocity with a 23-degree launch angle was a fly out that needs to be gone. 99.2 mile per hour exit velocity with a 27-degree launch angle. That's the one that just absolutely should have been gone. That went for a double, and then a 93.9 mile per hour hit. A 16-degree launch angle went for a single, little nice poke the other way for a hit in the 8th inning. So it's just some great at-bats from Ozzie Albies. Sometimes baseball is weird. His lower exit velocities got hits and his higher exit velocities went for outs, but that's just baseball sometimes. But either way, a lot of great swings from Ozzie Albies. One thing we know about Ozzie that's been pretty consistent throughout his years is that he will be inconsistent. He'll have very hot and very cold streaks throughout the year, but certainly when he is hot, like he is right now, he can be one of the better players in the game. He's yet to strike out this year and has 2 walks. Not a high on-base guy generally throughout his career, somewhere between 315, 325 typically, but no strikeouts to 2 walks so far for Ozzie Albies. Now, going back to the rankings for second base, as I mentioned a minute ago, the only 2 that I put in competition with Ozzie Albies are Jose Altuve and Marcus Semien. I think those 3 guys in particular are widely viewed as the 3 best second basemen in all of baseball at this moment. Others in the discussion, I'd include Reynaldo, and I don't see him on a lot of lists either, but he's somebody that's dealt with a lot of injuries, but when healthy, he absolutely, he's 30 home run potential, just like Ozzie is when he's healthy. Ketel Marte, he's had some injuries as well, but when he's in there, he's a really good second baseman. And I think Gleyber Torres is coming up as a really good second baseman as well. Look, maybe Geloff, maybe Julian, maybe Nico Horner, and some of these other young guys, McLean, maybe they're going to turn into some of the best second basemen in the league, but they just haven't proven it enough for me yet to really even include them in the conversation as some of the top second basemen in baseball. Now let's look at some of the numbers for Ozzie since entering the league. You look at power, he has 133 home runs in 775 games. Take notice of the games there because there's going to be a big difference. Marcus Semien leads all second basemen over that time with 165 in 947 games. So almost 200 more games than Ozzie. Altuve has 150 in 843 games. So a lot more than Ozzie Albies as well. Torres has 123 right there in that mix. Speed, Altuve and Semien each have 94. Albies has 77, but again, he's played far fewer games. You look at the averages, Altuve leads by a wide margin here at 303. Ketel Marte's at 282, Ozzie at 273, and Semien at 262. OPS leaders, Altuve runs away with it there at 879, Marte at 830, Albies at 805, and Semien at 792. You look at some of the advanced stats, WRC plus, Altuve 142, Low 127, Marte 120, Torres 116, Semien 116, and Albies 110. So that's the one stat that doesn't favor Ozzie very well. You look at FanGraphs WAR, Altuve 33.8, Semien 27.6, Albies 19.6, and Marte 18.9. On the defensive side of things, you look at FanGraphs and defensive rating over that time. Semien 21.7, Altuve 15.2, and Albies 12.3. You look at Baseball Savant's fielding run value, Altuve +8, Albies +6, and Semien +1. But that's including a lot of innings that Semien played at shortstop where he's not nearly as good a defender as he is at second base. But I would say they're all pretty average defensively. I don't think any of them are studs defensively at the position. You're going by defense. Nico Horner is certainly at the top of that list at second base, but just comparing these 3, Semien, Altuve, and Albies, I think they're all good, but not great defensive second baseman. Ozzie obviously took a huge step back last year, hoping that he picks things up in 2024. So for now, you look at those rankings, you go through the numbers. I think it's pretty clear that Altuve belongs at the top of this list. I think he is the best second baseman still in baseball. I put Marcus Semien behind him, and I'd have Ozzie Albies third. We're talking about all-around second baseman in the game right now. I think you could make an argument for putting Ozzie over Semien in that number 2 spot, But I think pretty clearly, Ozzie is at least the third best second baseman in baseball, the best second baseman in the National League. Ketel Marte is the only one I'd put up there with Ozzie Albies right now. But if I were ranking it, I would go Altuve, Semien, Albies. So putting that to bed, you can ignore whatever other list you want to. Albies is at least a top 3 second baseman in baseball. And look, he's 27. He's already won 2 Silver Sluggers at the position. He's already been to 3 All-Star games. Altuve turns 34 this year. Semien is 33, and Ketel Marte is 30. So he is by far the younger of those other top second base candidates. So if he's not the best now, there's a good chance in a year or two you're going to see Albies at the top of this list if he continues to hit like he has. So again, he is clearly one of the best players in baseball. He's one of the best second basemen in baseball, and he's on one of the best contracts in baseball. Does he sometimes still aggravate me because of his aggressive nature, which I think he's gotten better at the plate? Yes, and he's going to have those big hot and big cold spells. But at the end of the year, it's going to be 25, 30 home runs, 90 to 100 RBIs. I would like to see him pick up the stolen bases. I think he's doing a little bit better job getting on base, taking his walks. Again, if he's going to hit 270 with a 320, 330 on base, I will take that all day long. And that's pretty consistently when healthy. That's been who Ozzie Albies is for the Atlanta Braves. So want to kind of just put that conversation to rest, hopefully for good. I'm sure we'll still see people bringing up those shredder rankings throughout the season every time Ozzie does something. And he has done a lot early on in this Braves season. And hopefully he continues to do a lot more and has another big year for the Atlanta Braves. All right, next we'll get into the news of the day. We got a no-hitter out in Houston, and we'll preview, hopefully, what's going to be Tuesday's matchup between Reynaldo, López, and Garrett Crochet. We'll do that here next. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tournament. So if your bracket is done by now, you still have an opportunity to get in on the action during the Final Four with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. If you think the Alabama Crimson Tide are somehow going to upset UConn, and then whoever they face in the final, NC State, Purdue, whatever it may be, you can still get in on that action over at FanDuel.com/locked on. On the baseball side of things, they have team-specific specials as well as futures bets over for the Major League Baseball season. You can go check all those out over at FanDuel.com/locked on as well. Also, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/play-safe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. In case you missed it late on Monday night, Reynaldo Blanco of the Houston Astros threw a no-hitter, allowed just 2 walks, both of them coming to George Springer, one of them coming the very first batter of the game. But good start for Blanco with the Astros, who made the roster mainly because there's so many injuries in the Astros rotation, but they continue to turn out good prospects. Was listening to MLB Central on Tuesday morning. They were talking about Dana Brown, how they saw Blanco on a backfield and said, why is this guy not starting for us? So hate that we lost Dana Brown here with the Braves, but he is clearly doing great things over with the Astros, churning out another very good pitcher, and Blanco, we'll see where he goes from there. Mike Trout hit a couple of bombs for the Angels in their comeback win over the Miami Marlins on Monday. Pray for our guy Peter Pratt over at Locked On Marlins. Been a rough start to the year for them, but for Mike Trout, one of my favorite players of all times, one of the prettiest swings of all times. I love to see when he's healthy and doing things like he did on Monday night. If you have not seen the home run that he hit to tie up the game at 4, stop right now, pause this, go check that out. 472 feet. It left Marlins Park. Marlins Park is not an easy place to hit a home run in general, much less one that leaves the yard. Go check that out right now if you haven't seen it. But Mike Trout, looking good, looking healthy. Hopefully he can have a big season. My sneaky pick, if you missed it on my predictions episode, to win the AL MVP this year, if he's healthy, I just think there's a really good chance he puts up some big numbers. I don't know what the Angels are going to do. I hope for Ron Washington's sake they can kind of figure it out and go on a run. But Mike Trout, just please give me at least one more healthy season. I begged for it last year with Acuna. We got it, and he went off let me see one more big, healthy season from Mike Trout. Would love to obviously see him and the Angels and Wash get into the postseason. I feel like that ship has kind of sailed at this point in Mike Trout's career. I feel like the only way he's going to get to the postseason is with another team. Hey, you want to ship him over to the Braves? I will take it. We'll find somewhere to get him in there. But I love Mike Trout, and hopefully he's going to have a big, healthy season there in Anaheim. I mentioned the Marlins, an 0-5 start to the year. We'll do our Around the League segment on Thursday's podcast, but wanted to mention just early on some trends. Marlins 0-5, the Pirates 5-0. The Mets are still looking for their first win, and they just put pitcher Tyler McGill on the injured list. So their pitching staff was already kind of shaky with Senga being out. Quintana in there, Manaya, Luis Severino didn't have a good first start, and now they had to put McGill on the IL. So rough start to the season for the Mets. And then the team the Braves are playing right now, the White Sox signed Michael Clevinger for 1 year, $3 million. Had a pretty good year with the White Sox last year. I believe, I hate to put some speculation out there that I don't have confirmation of, but I believe there's some off-the-field stuff for Clevinger as well that maybe teams are shying away from, but the White Sox decided to take another chance on him. And you listen to Sean Anderson and the guys over at the CHGO White Sox podcast. They are not very happy about the signing of Mike Clevinger, so maybe we'll hear more from that from Sean on Wednesday's episode. As far as Tuesday's game against the White Sox, there is a good chance that this game doesn't happen, and maybe the game on Wednesday either. It is a large chance of rain happening pretty much all day Tuesday in Chicago, turning into snow overnight and into Wednesday. So I don't know that we'll get to play these next two games. Hopefully we do, because like I said, it's a chance for the Braves to pick up some easy wins against a struggling White Sox team that they're looking for their first win of the season. And it would be 3 straight off days for the Braves if they don't get these next 2 games in. So hopefully they at least get one more in, and then maybe you could kick that next one till the end of the year if needed. The pitching matchup on Tuesday night, if you get to play, is Reynaldo López versus Garrett Crochet. López facing his old team. My questions with López: how long can he go, and how does the velocity hold up? If they do play, it's obviously not going to be great weather conditions, but hopefully he's able to get that start in, give you 5 strong innings. I think I would take it. The bullpen's kind of been reset now with Morton and Sale going deep the last 2 games. So if López can give you a 5 and dive, I mean, that's kind of what you're looking for with your 5th starter anyway. I think that'd be a great first start to the season for him. As for Garrett Crochet, really looking forward to seeing him again. I watched a lot of his start on opening day where he was just electric for the White Sox. 6 innings, just 1 run on 5 hits, no walks, which is key for Crochet, who struggled with command in the past, and 8 strikeouts. So again, weather possibly playing a factor. Is he able to still have that great command that he had an opening day? But Crochet, big arm, upper 90s fastball, 97, 98. And then you're going to see a really good slider as well. But it pretty much is a 2-pitch mix. It's mostly fastball and slider that you're going to see from the left-handed Crochet. The Braves have handled lefties pretty well, so hopefully they do the same against him. But he has a fun, electric, and exciting arm, so I can't wait to watch him again. And López, what he does in the starting role for the Braves. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find the Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. I mentioned tomorrow we'll have our conversation with Sean Anderson from the CHGO White Sox podcast. I'm looking forward to that discussion with him. We'll have our mailbag episode coming up on Friday. I mentioned Through the League happening on Thursday. Hopefully the Braves will get these games in here in Chicago, get ready for the home opener on Friday night. I'll be there Saturday, weather permitting. Obviously, weather's been good here in Atlanta while they've been on the road. Hopefully that continues when they come back home, but I should be at the game Saturday, so look forward to seeing you then. But that will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube if you haven't already. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.